I wanted to do a quick update on the RFK Jr. stuff. Tulsi,
can you play my video then?
Your video? Yeah, we can do your video.
Hey everyone, Craig Pasta Jardula here, and I want to remind you all that it's not what you heard, it's what you hearing, as in confirmation hearings. Yes, the two most anticipated hearings, Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., have finally wrapped up. And what an absolute circus they were. I don't know who is worse, the candidates themselves or the so-called lawmakers tasked with confirming them. Let's start with the U.S. Senators. After watching this sham of a hearing, it is impossible not to notice just how belligerent and disconnected these politicians are from the people they're supposed to represent. Take Senator Bennett, for example. This guy threw an absolute full-blown tantrum demanding that Tulsi Gabbard call Edward Snowden a traitor. Newsflash, Senator, most Americans see Snowden as a whistleblower who exposed government crimes, not as someone who committed them. A lot of us think he should be pardoned, not punished. Then there was Elizabeth Warren grilling RFK Jr. about whether or not he would take money from lawsuits against vaccine manufacturers. And why? Because she was afraid he might actually hold them accountable, even though they already operate under qualified immunity, meaning you can't sue them. Hey, Liz, who exactly are you working for? But let's not let these candidates off the hook either, because they were just as bad. Will the real Tulsi Gabbard please stand up? She completely flipped on multiple key positions, claiming Snowden did break the law, blaming Putin for the war in Ukraine, reversing course on 702, and even agreeing with one senator that Assad gassed his own people. Seriously, who is this person? And then there was RFK Jr.'s theatrical performance. I'm pro-vaccine, I'm pro-vaccine, I'm pro-vaccine. He just kept repeating it like a broken record. Now, I don't care where you stand on vaccines, but let's just be real. RFK Jr. built his name taking on Big Pharma and exposing the corruption behind vaccine manufacturers' qualified immunity. But now, the guy who wrote the real Anthony Fauci is suddenly reversing course, going so far as to say Operational Warp Speed was a phenomenal achievement. Psst. He said the exact opposite just last year. So where does all this political theater leave us, the American people, without any real representation in what's supposed to be a democracy? But here's the silver lining. If these so-called outsider candidates like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK are willing to abandon their own supporters and their own positions so shamelessly, then it's crystal clear we have zero real representation in our government. So it's time to drop this hero worshiping mentality that got us here in the first place. So with that being said, I ask you this simple question. Is there any representation in Washington for we the people? Or are we just left completely out in the cold? I want to hear from you.
That's my latest video. I'm going to do one on the USAID and the NED next too as well. Done them on the flyer. I've been doing those. They've been edited by Johnny Tsunami. He does amazing work.
Great job.
That's the monologue of the week. Yeah. So please get us up to date on where we stand now and your thoughts on these particular candidates. I know. Are you going to try to sell me a shit sandwich on nice bread? Come on, give it to me.
No. This is the best.
I'm busting chops, by the way. You know.
Listen, man. We're aligned on all this stuff. I like to keep a little hope when when someone gets loud and someone says, hey, the whole system is corrupt. And if you have one opportunity to get somebody's attention who thought the whole time they thought that RFK Jr. was a bad guy because of his challenging of Fauci and writing a book about Fauci, that was the problem. And they're now realizing, wait a minute, that's not necessary. That's not actually the problem. The stuff you pointed out is the problem. His Zionism is a problem. Tulsi Zionism is a problem. But I like these opportunities where at least if people are paying attention for the first time and they're saying, wait a minute, that doesn't look right what Bernie is doing. That doesn't look right what Elizabeth Warren is doing. How can those two people be progressives and be going against Big Pharma when you're taking Big Pharma money? So I like that incremental opportunity to get just a few more people in our camp. But you're 100% right. You could say it's a Debbie Downer, but do we actually, you asked the question, do we actually have people representing us? And the sad reality is no. Do we want these people to be confirmed? I think so, just because it can't be any worse than it is now. So I'm hoping all three of these people, that's RFK Jr., Tulsi, and we have Kash. So the updates on all three of them, this is what we know as of today. We know that they're all being stalled out. All of them. All three of these are being stowed out. And we did extensive coverage on this last week. We had Jose Vega in the room reporting to us from DC, telling us all the stuff that led up to this. There was a closed door meeting that nobody was allowed into. We thought Tulsi might have been fast tracked and she might have been confirmed first. She is still not confirmed. This just came out today regarding Kash, because we knew that it was Senator Chuck Grassley. He announces they're gonna actually delay the vote for him, and it looks like all three of them are being delayed. So here's the announcement there.
The minority, as well as myself, have exercised their right and my right under the committee rules to hold over the nomination of Kash Patel to be director of the FBI.
So did you see how old he sounded, by the way? I mean, these people were, listen, the other day, Colonel McGregor, who I'm going to try to reach out to his camp and see if we can get him on one of our shows at least, see if we can get him on. He was talking about how a lot of the Pentagon is outdated. It's got too many people, too many ranking officers that are still running around, getting cozy with contracts with all these weapons manufacturers, aligning with them. We saw what happened with our last. And once again, when you talk about cabinet nominations, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, he was a contractor for, a weapons manufacturer. I think it was Northrop Grumman or one of them. I mean, come on. I mean, this is what they're doing over there. He said that they have all these people. It's outdated. Our military is outdated. Too many old people calling the shots. Our congressional members, our Congress is outdated. Senator Grassley looks like he's about to have a freaking fall down episode over there, right? Like, somebody better go warm up his milk and get him ready for his cookies and milk in bed. I mean, these are the people we have to retire these people. But that's why I was so, crazy about making sure we push for a fair election system. Because if we don't have a fair election system, we're going to have these people who don't represent us that are just dinosaurs in that Congress doing what they're doing. And what are they doing here? Once again, this is going to be more theater, the more actions over here. You're going to hear people saying, well, he won. He deserved his mandate. He deserved to get his people in. That's technically true, but they're just doing this once again for the divide and conquer factor and making sure you pay attention to these meaningless things over here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something's going on here with the delay, though. I think they're up to something. Why are we not getting this? Because they all made through the first vote, right? So we saw that happen. We saw the 14-13 vote for RFK Jr. So you got to that final round, and they were saying that was the big hurdle to get through. We didn't know if he'd get through that. They all got through that hurdle. Why can't they do the final vote? What is going on here? And we noticed this. This is something of note for Tulsi. She's still on this Ukraine hit list, which I don't know. Maybe this is nothing, but why would this still be up on their website? This is the stuff we saw. Jimmy Dore had been put on that. We saw some of the Gray Zone guys have been put on that. This is it's
Fee's on that list. Yeah.
Who is?
Fee, Wyatt.
Oh, Fee. Yes, that's right. Fee and Wyatt are both on the list.
Yes. Garland Nixon's on it. That's when I was on the show with Garland Nixon and Wilmer, Dr. Wilmer Leone. I said, Dr. Wilmer, we got to work hard. We didn't get on these lists. I'm a little upset. He goes, I know we'll get there, but I was on a Republican one on a Russian puppet list, so I was Wyatt sent that to me. He's like, hey, you got on a list. We couldn't even get on this list. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, and because of a relationship they said I supposedly have with General Flynn and Rage Against the War Machine. But anyways, yeah, I mean, once again, it's just noise. It's just noise at this point. I mean, I don't know what exactly to make of it. I think they would do these things and eventually they're going to let them through. Who knows? I really don't think these people are going to really act independently and do what's best for the people. They might have moments. They might have ways. They might see where they can, figure out what they can push and how they can push. I'm sure they have teams working with them. I mean, it's just more of the same.
If they don't get through,
yeah.
Do you think there's a silver lining there, Craig? Do you think that would make enough of the Mahas and some of the MAGAs get really angry? If
in fact RFK gets let go, doesn't get confirmed, and they just go on, Donald Trump can say, well, I try to put him out there for HHS, you know what I'm saying? And then I guess he'll try to find him. Maybe he'll let him join the Doge with Elon Musk or whatever and stuff. So I think there'll be some attempt to put him somewhere else. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You would think that there would be enough of an uproar. Most of the Maha people are really, they're going against their own will, right? Most of those Maha people don't like what's going on in Israel. And they're saying, well, we're going to deal with it because it's for the greater good. It serves a purpose. They'll make the argument that everybody's pro-Israel. What difference does it make when it comes to him? But he needs to get in elsewhere. But that is a big problem in itself. When he's compromised by the ruling class, you'll do anything they tell you to do. So unfortunately, it really does. Like I said, I look at it presents more of a problem. And when I've ever heard comments, well, I'm not nominating him. I'm not voting for him to be Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense, because people will throw out the Zionism. But I mean, there's other ways that, the APEC is involved with our everyday lawmaking and policies. They're not just involved with our foreign policy. So,
well, I'll tell you, whatever happens,
I think it's another red herring again. But it's willing to pay attention to. Listen, I paid attention to the hearings. I watched them. So, I'm going to continue to pay attention to it. But I don't know. I still think it's part of the theater, Matt.
It's part of the theater, but we'll say whatever happens from this point on, and we'll hopefully get answers on all three of those guys soon. But what we know for a fact is people like Elizabeth Warren and especially Bernie Sanders have cemented their legacy as completely captured tools that are against everything, particularly Bernie, because of our revolution and the entire movement that we came into. This is the final chapter. This is the nail in the coffin for that destructive, disastrous, intentionally disgusting movement that he was part of. And he had said famously, I don't want to be a Ralph Nader. Well, guess what? From now on, people are going to refer to you, Bernie Sanders, as I don't want to be a Bernie Sanders. So that's what you did to yourself. And that happens. There's no way around that. If we can agree on that part.
I would definitely agree on that, because I did think there was an opportunity provided for Bernie Sanders, to get back into the fold. I think so many people have walked away from him. He wasn't the guy he once was when he was first running for him, where people would quit their jobs to go help him out. You know what I'm saying? That's how much he meant. Obviously, a lot of that fizzle went away in 2020, but then it was completely abandoned. And Joe Biden is my friend. And time after time, we've seen him make decisions. But, I mean, he made his decision and is doing what he's doing because that's the only crowd he has left to pander to, the confirmation bias pro-vaccine crowd. And that's who he's pandering to. And you're absolutely right where this is the nail in the coffin, because it is for me, because right here, I think at that hearing, he would have said, listen, let me tell you something, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We disagree when it comes to vaccines. I think we park to the side. What I've heard you say is that you want to get all the processed food out of the children's food in the schools. And for that one moment there, for that one idea, for that one plan, I am ready to put all my differences aside and make sure that we could get healthy food to our kids. They are eating crap. They are eating processed foods. It was stuff I wouldn't even give to Jane's dog. And I think we should work together on this and accomplish this together. What do you say, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? Are you willing to work with me on that? If you are for real, I think we should get together and combine forces and get it done.
Wow.
But, I mean, or if he would have said, let's do something to solidify Medicare, like the insurance program, not even go for Medicare for all, something else there. I mean, he could have combined forces and say, let's get this done.
Yeah.
Let's get the processed food out of children's lunches in the schools.
Yeah.
You do that alone. And I think there's a lot of people who are banking on RFK to do exactly that. In other words, the Mossad, the Zionist, the Trump administration, the puppets, the people who control those puppets have told them, okay, listen, we'll let you get processed foods out of the public schools anyways. Most kids are not even going to school anyways. But, hey, as long as you keep our vaccine safe, don't screw with our schedule, because he said it. I'm pro-vaccine. I'm for the vaccine schedule. You make sure that we can do that. We'll let you get the processed foods out of the kids' school. We'll give you that, that bone. Deal? Yeah. He made that deal behind closed doors. And that's why I think you're going to see it come through. And I think there's a lot of people in the Maha movement who said, you know what? We'll take it. If we can get just fucking that alone, which they can
and the pharma commercials off TV. That's a big one.
He hasn't reinvigorated that. I haven't heard him say anything about that. But once again, if he can do that, right, which I don't think he's already said he's pro-vaccine. I'm sure he's going to lie. But if that was something he was doing, but like I'm saying, Bernie Sanders should have took the opportunity right there. Let's get kids' foods clean. We'll work together on that. I think you're a kook. I think you're a conspiracy theory. I think you were on Epstein's plane too many times. Whatever, you want to attack me over the money, because instead that's what they did. They lined up to attack each other. They went at each other's throats because the very next day, RFK brought stats about the money, and you've talked about the cloudiness of that money, right? You know what I'm saying?
We have the paper trail on that. And he's like, oh, no, I knew this was going to happen. Oh, I knew he was going to bring it up. I knew he. And
I'd like to see more of those. I'd like to see more of those paper trails, right? Because the whole thing is like, but, the one thing you cannot ignore, and this is what I'll leave it with, maybe he did do something in 2020 where it was really nefarious and he took a lot of dirty money and that should be exposed. But there were a lot of people in the medical industry in 2016 when we were out in the streets that were nurses, doctors, therapists that were like all about him because they've seen the system for what it was. And they've seen how insurance and the lack of health care really affected the jobs they could do, and a lot of people who become registered nurses and therapists and stuff, they don't do it because it's just money. They do it because it's something about them inside. They want to help people. And if that is detoured and there are roadblocks being put up, Bernie Sanders was looked at that vessel at one time. This would have been a moment for him, to work with RFK to get it done. But like you said, they both went after each other. I mean, really, to tell you the truth, the onesie to me, that was Bernie owning RFK. He owned RFK because RFK set the table on pro-vaccine. Hey, this is from the Children's Defense Network. Do you stand by this onesie? He doesn't, because he even said he's for the fucking goddamn vaccine schedule.
Yeah, man. He did own him in that moment. That would have been
that's
a great.
That's the way I looked at it.
RFK could have said, they can sell whatever the hell they want. I'm not the guy giving the green light on it, but they can put whatever they want out. People want to buy it, they can buy it. That's how capitalism works. So you can buy something that you relate to. If there's a reason not to relate to this, then change the system, and then people won't buy these onesies if they believed in the thing you were selling. Yeah. That's what I mean, that would be the way I would coach that. Like, people are going to buy the thing they relate to. He can distance himself, but say, no, buy whatever you want. If this is a message that people want. It's not going to work
because this is the guy who authored the real Anthony Fauci, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody knows who RFK is. We saw him speak in D.C. in the freezing cold, me and Fiorella, in the first Defeat the Mandates. He spoke for almost 25, 30 fucking minutes. He's not a pro-vaccine guy. He might say, I'm trying to get the mercury out of vaccines, but he's always gone after their qualified immunity, which goes to the heart of what they're trying to do.
That's the whole point. That's the book. That's the book, the Fauci book. It's all about going out and all the lawsuits. He sued him how many times since the 80s? All that was gone. So you're right. I mean, there was a sellout element of that.
That was Bernie's chance, though.
Yeah.
It was a lost opportunity, Matt.
Yeah.
I would say Bernie Sanders could have won back. So I would have had so much respect for Bernie Sanders, even though I wouldn't have believed it and stuff like that. But at least they're trying to tickle us right over here. Yeah. And if he would have said, listen, I disagree with all these things, but how about this? We work together, me and you. I will vote for your confirmation if you are serious and you make an oath with me right now today. Let's get the processed food out of the kids' meals in the schools around this country. Let's work together. Let's make sure the poor kids can get fed, right? Let's reinvigorate that whole RFK program, that mentality. Let's make sure the poor kids get food, right? Let's do this. Let's clean up the lunches. Let's expand them. Let's make sure that, because do you know, Matthew, that the number one cause of ADD deficiency is not having a healthy breakfast, right? I have my Quaker oatmeal and oats with my blueberries, my blackberries. Jane makes me some decaf green tea, and then we go to work. I want to make sure all poor kids in this country get instant oats from Quaker or whatever, and fruit. I mean, lost opportunity.
Yeah, lost opportunity.
That's why the whole theme of that thing was, it's like, not only were some of these assholes so belligerent, Matt, like they are so disconnected from the American people, our Senate. It's so disconnected from we the people are, that where you want to force somebody to say, Tulsi Gabbard, to say that Snowden's not a traitor. And that's what, Jose Vega and some other, well, at least she didn't succumb to that. Yeah, but she said that Snowden broke the law. Snowden broke the law. We don't look like it. We don't consider when you're exposing a crime breaking the law. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's the behavior we're trying to change. That was the behavior Tulsi Gabbard was once against, and now she's for.
Yeah. Yeah. One big theater piece that we're all witnessing. But yeah, grab a bowl of popcorn or whatever your movie theater
Quaker Oats
thing of choice. Grab a bowl of Quaker Oats for all we care. But grab a seat, and the show continues, and we'll see how things pan out with these hearings. If they're even going to have a finale to this, we'll see. It should be coming soon. But yeah, it's all theater, guys. It's all theater.